again, everyone. My name is Steve Bevans. I'm the faculty moderator for Catholics on Call here at Catholic Theological Union. And this is our fourth installment of our 2014 online retreat. And in this year's retreat, we're focusing on a deeper understanding of ministry. And so we're moving now into some other descriptions or theses about ministry as we move on into our deeper understanding. So our seventh thesis or description about ministry sounds funny at first, but it's the idea that Christian ministry is about ministering. What do I mean by that? I mean, Christian ministry is about doing ministry. Ministry is more of a verb than a noun. It's more of an activity than it is a state. I like this quotation by Richard McBrien, who teaches at the University of Notre Dame. He says, "One doesn't become a minister to become a minister. That is, to enter the ministerial state. One becomes a minister to do ministry. That is, to fulfill the function of a minister." So the big deal about being minister is not being a minister. Oh, I'm a minister. But it's rather, I become a minister in order to serve, in order to act, in order to do ministry. So our state is the state that baptism gives us. It's the state of being a Christian. It's the state of being a disciple. And the way that we live out that state are the various ways, the various gifts that we've been given to be a minister. So it's an activity rather than simply a state. So our vocation is first of all to be human beings. God calls us first of all to be ourselves. Secondly, God calls some of us in the world to be Christians, to be married or single as Christians. Then God calls some of us who are Christians to be ministers, and then calls us to the various ways of ministering. But the big deal about being a minister is not that I am a communion minister, or that I am a priest, or that I am the director of music in a parish. It's that I do things. I serve. And that's a really, I think, important point. We come to our eighth understanding of ministry, our eighth thesis or description, and that is that Christian ministry is an exercise of authority. When we are ministers, because we minister in the name of Jesus Christ, we have the authority of Jesus Christ. And I think that's a really important thing to realize, that we have power, we have authority of Christ when we ministry. But it's the authority not of domination. Jesus didn't dominate. It's rather the authority of responsibility, to be responsible to continue Jesus' work in the world. It's the authority, as Jesus says, of service. Jesus says at the Last Supper, you look around at people in authority, kings, for instance, they use their authority by dominating other people. That's not the way you're supposed to be. The way you're supposed to be is to serve. Your authority is one of service. So you need to be the servant of all, and that's the way that you live out your authority. Also, I think the authority that we have as ministers is the authority of authorizing. Authority comes from the word to author, so we help people author their lives. We help people find their own gifts. We help people find their own power, their own authority in their lives. Also, we get this authority from authentic living. I remember a number of years ago listening to a talk by someone talking about authority. And he talked about an old sister who has since died, but she spent the last part of her life, she was like 85 years old, she spent the last part of her life working with gangs in the back of the yards neighborhood here in Chicago, one of the toughest areas of the city. And these gang members love to talk to her. And people say, why are you interested in talking to this old woman? And the gang member said, well, because she talks with authority. The way she lived, her whole life of service gave her authority. So it's really important that when we minister with authority. Not the authority of telling people what to do, but the authority of helping people find themselves, find their own authority, find their own power. So let me give you some texts for reflection. And the first one is from Richard McBrien, which I mentioned before. One doesn't become a minister to become a minister. One becomes a minister to do ministry. And then secondly, that wonderful line of Jesus. Earthly kings lord it over people, yet it cannot be that way with you. Let the greater among you be as the junior, the leader as the servant.